Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on something a little bit different. We got an 86 Bronco 2 here. It's been a project we got going on. We got a bunch of different stuff to do to it. Today we're going to be doing something pretty easy, kind of simple. We're going to be changing valve cover gaskets on it. Problem we're having with it right now is it's actually leaving some drips on the ground, and we really want to get that fixed before we start really taking it out and beating on it too hard. So we're going to be changing these valve cover gaskets. While we do it, we're going to slap some paint on them too at the same time, because it's always nice to really make something look better while you're actually fixing something, at least in my opinion. Let's go ahead, let's jump into it. Okay, so before we get this torn apart too much, I want to go ahead and give you a quick look at what it's actually looking like in here. So you can't really see a lot of leak from the top. It just kind of looks like it's an old engine, really. You know, gray valve covers. We're going to be putting another coat of gray on them, but hopefully it'll have a little more sparkle to it is what we're kind of shooting for, a little more pop. Anyway, really where you can start seeing some of what we're talking about is down here in the dark, though. So you might not see a lot of it right now. And it's I wiped it off not too long ago because it was going to be inside. But let's go ahead. We'll just get right into it. So there's a quick lesson for you. Pretty much, so the first bolt I'm taking out, I was trying to do one of the hard ones first, kind of get the hard one out of the way. Well, turns out the hard one was really hard. Getting in there with my fingers and just dropped it, and it is gone. Hopefully I find it later, but if not, just got to roll with the punches and replace that bolt. Alright, so we seem to have a little camera malfunction here. It kind of cut off while I was unbolting this. Well, we ran into something while we were doing it. We were having some access problems actually getting the valve cover off, which I now have off in my hand here. And basically the AC compressor was actually in our way. So it looked like I was going to have to loosen it, take it back and try to get it out of there. But we were thinking about it, and really I've been thinking about taking the AC out of this thing anyway, because A, it doesn't work. B, I mean, we're in California, it's not too bad of a climate no matter what when I want to drive it, and it's really a toy. So we just started taking it out too. You missed some of that. There was a couple good parts, but here we are. We got the valve cover off, and if you want to say something, you just got to tell her, Tommy. This is Sammy, by the way. Come on over here, Sammy. I hadn't actually introduced her yet.
Well, I found the bolt that we lost. So.
There we go. Anyway, so one of the things I noticed when I took this off, I mean, it has these cork gaskets. I don't know how well you can see it, but it has these cork gaskets. They work good. They're kind of an old school thing, and it looks like when they were done, they used like silicone up in here behind it so it would stick in the valve cover, which is one of the things you got to do. But the thing they didn't seem to do is, if you can see right here, there's like a line here, and that's from like the casting in the head. And they didn't seem to put any silicone there between the gasket and like that hole where it bolts onto. So I really think that wasn't helping this thing seal, and that's probably some of where our leak was coming from, other than the fact that this gasket is pretty hard. So anyway, we're going to keep going with this, try to get this other one off, get these cleaned up, and we'll get some paint on them. One more pro tip here. So I'm probably gonna be leaving this side alone for a little bit because we're gonna be painting and cleaning the valve covers and all that kind of stuff. And so it's probably gonna sit overnight with it open. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna throw some rags over it too, so that's so that way not anything really gets into the oil system or anything like that, because you really don't want anything foreign getting into your engine. Just wanted to throw that in there. Alright, so second valve cover off. This one was leaking, boy. And let me show you. So when they did this one was a little kind of hard to get to. And when they did it, this gasket slipped off where it's actually supposed to be. And you can see where when they bolted it down, they were on the outside of this gasket. So this whole thing was just sticking inside the valve cover. So not only did they not use the gasket sealer stuff where I would, those cracks in the head, like where the head and the intake come together, but they also didn't have the gasket on there. So this whole part of the gasket wasn't doing anything. So yeah, I think we're going to be solving quite a bit of an oil leak, if not the whole thing. Alright, so we got the valve covers off. Some hassles and some cursing later. They're off. Now we're going to go ahead, we're working on cleaning them, and we're going to go ahead and get them painted up too. So yeah, this is just the way we're going to leave it. We're going to go ahead and close the hood down. Notice I got those rags on there, so that way nothing happens to the engine while it's waiting for these valve covers to be all done for it. Anyway, we'll get back onto it. So here's the thing. So we did the valve covers. We did an oil. I was going to do an oil change on it. I went to go take out the drain plug, and this was stripped. I actually hadn't realized I hadn't done an oil change on this yet. But here we are. So I got in there. It was completely stripped. It was like brown at this point. It was a 13 millimeter. I couldn't figure out what to do. I had vice grips. I had all kinds of stuff under there, and I just could not get this thing undone. So quick internet search, see what other people are doing to get these out, and I actually came across somebody using this tool right here. Now here's what it looks like. I got to basically hammer it onto the bolt, and then it has these little teeth in here, which you can see in this one right here. You can see these little teeth that have a twist to them. So when you're trying to loosen it, actually it's biting into the bolt deeper, so that way it'll actually get it off for you instead of just slipping off. Lifesaver. This took me about maybe 2 minutes, and I actually had that plug off no problem. If anybody needs these, here's what the package looks like. Irwin, great buy, like just under 30 bucks. Lifesaver. Anyway, so the only thing we really have left is I want to go ahead and kind of maybe do a quick clean on it, but we really want to get it good and dirty first and go see if we can find some mud. It just rained not too long ago. Let's see what we can find. that's what you look like after a test drive with a Bronco.
Thanks for joining us on Patrick Garage. That's all we have for you today. But make sure to hit subscribe and comment and all that kind of good stuff on the video. Check out all the future content we have coming for you. Thanks, everybody.